aspirants, let us continue our learning journey. Today, we are going to study a very important part of prehistoric India, and that is the Mesolithic age. So, if you guys remember in the previous session, we covered about the Paleolithic age, right? We understood about the lower Paleolithic, middle Paleolithic, and the later Paleolithic. Today, we are going to focus on the Middle Stone Age, and that is referred to as Mesolithic age. Okay, so let us begin with our session on the Mesolithic age. All right. Now, the Mesolithic age is referred to as Meso. Meso means what? The middle. Lithic. Lithic, we are referring to stone and we are referring to the Middle Stone Age. Okay. If you look at the timeline of this Middle Stone Age, it begins from around 10,000 BCE. I hope you guys know what is BCE, before Christ or the before Common Era. And in the Indian subcontinent, this particular age continued up to 6,000 BCE. Fine. And when I talk about Mesolithic age is a transitional phase. Transitional phase between the Paleolithic age and the Neolithic age. Or you can say that the Mesolithic age connects Paleolithic age with the Neolithic age. Okay, so it is a transitional phase between Paleolithic age and the Neolithic age. Fine. Now, when you talk about the Mesolithic age, there is one hallmark development of the Mesolithic period, or you can say that the characteristic feature of the Mesolithic age. And this characteristic feature is the use of microliths. Okay, so we are going to understand them in detail. So, microliths are the characteristic tools of this particular age. Okay, or whenever you are talking about the Mesolithic age, the first thing that should hit your mind should be the microliths. Okay, now you can guess what do you mean by microliths. Micro means what? Small. Lith means what? Stone. Okay, so we are referring to tiny stone tools. So that is a remarkable feature of the Mesolithic era. Tiny stone tools, these tools ranges from 1 centimeter to max up to 5 centimeter. Okay, so size of these tools are 1 centimeter to 5 centimeter. 5. And when you look at the tools, you will find different geometrical shapes. Okay, so can you see over here the images? You can find over here the tools are in the shapes of a triangle. Okay, they are in the shape of a lunate. If you remember lunate, Mowgli used to, if you have seen the cartoon, Mowgli cartoon, there was a lunate in his hand which he used to throw during the time of hunting. Okay, so lunate is that microlithic stone tool. There are certain which are also called as the crescents, which are in the shape of a crescent. Okay, like this. So this is a lunate or the crescent. Okay, then you have trapeze. Trapeze, the tools which are in the shape of a trapezoid. Okay, so microliths are the characteristic stone tools of the Mesolithic era, and these refer to the stone tools which ranges from the size of 1 centimeter to max up to 5 centimeter. Okay, and these tools are represented in the geometrical shapes. So these are either triangular in shape, crescent shape, or the lunate shape, or the trapezoids in shape. Okay, the next important characteristic feature of this period is the composite tools. Okay, now what are the composite tools? Composite tools are nothing but when you are attaching a microlith to a handle. So that handle could be a bone handle, it could be a wooden handle. So across that bone handle or the wooden handle, you are hafting. Hafting means what? You are attaching microliths. Okay, so can you see over here? There is an arrow. Okay, there's a sickle, there is a harpoon. So the handles could be a wooden handle, a bone handle, a wooden handle. And to that handle, you are attaching microliths. So arrow, you are attaching a triangular microlith. Okay, so in this manner, you will get what? You will get composite stone tools. Okay, so what are the composite stone tools? These are nothing but microliths which are hafted, which are attached to a bone or a wooden handle. Okay, examples of these composite tools are what? Arrows are there, sickles are there, and harpoons are there. Okay, so these tools are the defining feature of the Mesolithic era. Please do remember this. The next important aspect of the Mesolithic era is that now let us try to understand what was the life in this period. Okay, now certain characteristics of the Paleolithic period continued here. So we know that in the Paleolithic age, man was a hunter gatherer. Similarly, in the Mesolithic age also, man was a hunter gatherer only. He used to hunt animals and he used to gather food from the nature, okay, from the forest. That is roots, fruits, tubers. He used to gather from the nature. All right. So first is hunting and gathering, fishing, all these things continued. He continued to stay in the rock shelters, in the natural shelters. Okay. We find examples of rock shelters from Bhimbetka in Madhya Pradesh. Okay. The next important aspect is that he continued the use of fire. Fire was used for cooking the food, for roasting the meat, to scare off the animals. Okay. So for all that purposes, fire was used. Fine. Now, the next important characteristic development that happened in this period was domestication of animals. Okay, now this was a particularly very interesting thing. For the first time, man was able to distinguish which animals are the wild animals, which animals are the human friendly animals. Human friendly in the sense, what are the animals that are gentle in their appearance, which are gentle, soft, their approach is soft and gentle towards human beings. So, man was able to identify such animals and he began for the very first time domestication of the animals. So, please remember this, the first signs of domestication of animals. In which age do we find? We find the signs of domestication of animals in the Mesolithic age. Please remember this, okay? Particularly across the Mesolithic sites, we have seen discovered the bones of dogs. Okay, dog bones are there predominantly. Apart from that, we even find the bones of cattle, sheep, pig. Okay, all these bones are also found, but predominantly we find the bones of dogs. Okay, and slowly and gradually, when you domesticate an animal, the animal itself undergoes a process of adaptation and evolution. Okay, so just compare a dog who is wild and a dog who is domesticated. What difference to identify? The first difference is that the wild dogs are really with the big canines, hairy and very aggressive. But on the same hand, if you look at the domesticated dogs or the even the street dogs, if you look at them, first of all, they do not have that much hair, fur on their body. Second important thing, they do not have that predominantly developed canines. The reason is that they get the food and all from here, from the human beings. They do not have to fight for their survival in the dense forest where there are so many competitors, right? And also, when you look at their muscle, their posture, the posture and the muscle of the domesticated animals is gentle in comparison to the posture of the wild animals. Okay, so wild animals you can easily identify from their posture that these are wild animals, and the domesticated animals you can easily identify from their gentle nature, from the lesser amount of fur on their body, from the less developed canines. Okay, the teeth. Okay, so in this manner, domestication of animal became a characteristic feature of the Mesolithic age. Okay, so Mesolithic age is very important for these important reasons. So, what is the first reason? What are the characteristic tools of the Mesolithic age? Microliths. Okay, so please remember this. Second, what are the other types of tools? Composite tools. Okay, and the third important feature of this period is the animal domestication. The earliest beginning or the first sign of animal domestication started in the Mesolithic era or the Mesolithic age. Okay. Now, yet another prominent feature of the Mesolithic age is explosion of rock shelter paintings. Okay. Now, when you talk about the beginning of paintings, we have understood that the earliest rock paintings began in India in the Upper Paleolithic age. Okay. We know that Paleolithic age is divided into three periods: lower, middle, and upper. So, in the Upper Paleolithic age, man just began the art of paintings. Okay. But the period in which this art proliferated or exploded, or you find predominantly, is the Mesolithic age. So please remember, Mesolithic age is known for explosion of rock shelter paintings, and we are going to understand them in detail. Okay, I hope these features are pretty clear. So Mesolithic age is the middle stone age. It is a transitional phase between Paleolithic age and the Neolithic age. The timeline is 10,000 BCE to up to 6,000 BCE. Characteristics are microliths, composite tools, and the first signs of animal domestication. Predominantly, dogs were domesticated. And the last and the important point is explosion of rock shelter paintings. Okay, so please remember all these points. These are very significant and important. Okay, Now, when you look at the microliths, okay, so just have a look at the microliths. So there can be a question in the mains examination. Write a short note on the microliths. Microliths are the characteristic stone tools of the Mesolithic era, right? So what are the characteristics of these tools? So first of all, you are supposed to write they are the tiny stone tools, typically in the range of 1 centimeter to 5 centimeter. What all shapes do you find? You find the shapes which are geometric, triangular, crescent, rectangular, trapezoid. Okay, all that shapes you are supposed to mention. The next important thing, you are supposed to mention the material from which they were made. Okay, so that they used different stones in order to make this microliths. The stones were chert, chalcedony, quartz, and jasper. Okay, if you remember Paleolithic age, quartzite was mainly used, and hence Paleolithic age man is also known as quartzite man. Okay, but now what you can understand over here, different types of stones were used to make this microliths. Okay, so microliths are the hallmark of the Mesolithic age, and this suggests a very important thing: advancement in the stone tool technology. Okay, if you compare the tools of the Paleolithic age, for the most important thing which we understand is that the tools were very big and bulky and unpolished. But now, with the advancement in the technology, with the progress of man, the most important thing which we find over here is that the tool size shrink and tools were more efficient and tools were polished ones. Okay, so these are the features of the microlithic tools. What was the purpose of use of these microlithic tools? For hunting, for fishing, for gathering in a more efficient manner. Okay, so this indicates adaptability and innovation of Mesolithic humans. Okay, so all this you need to remember, and you can see over here the composite tool also. Okay, so microliths, how they were used, they were attached to a wooden or a bone handle to create a composite tool. Okay, so they were used in making arrows and arrowheads, sickles for the harvesting purpose, harpoons, okay, fish hooks, knives, and the cutting tools. Fine. Now, where do you find these tools? So, we find these tools from the important Mesolithic sites such as Bhimbetka. Bhimbetka, it's in Madhya Pradesh. Bagor. Bagor is a very well excavated Mesolithic era site which is in Rajasthan. Okay, so very important Mesolithic era site, Bagor, Rajasthan. Please remember this. Okay, Laglanj, yet another important site. It is in Gujarat. Okay, Mahadaha. Mahadaha is yet another important site. This is in Uttar Pradesh. And Sarai Narhar, again in UP. So these are the important sites which you need to remember. So these are the important Mesolithic sites in India. Okay, and we know the characteristics. It's a transitional phase that you need to know. And hunting of the first signs of animal domestication is being found in this particular period. Okay, let us move ahead. I hope this microlithic tools are pretty clear. If there is a question on this, you are in a position to write an answer. Okay, so you can conclude this: microliths are small, but they are smart tools. Why they are smart tools? Because they reflect the skill, the creativity, and adaptive nature of Mesolithic humans. Okay, helping them to survive and thrive in the changing environment. Okay, so in this manner, you can even conclude the answer. So do prepare a mains answer of a 10 marks. That is, what are the characteristics of the Mesolithic age? Or you can mention that what are the characteristic tools of the Mesolithic age. Okay, now let us move ahead. And let us focus on the most important topic. Now, this is very important from the mains perspective because this is a part of Indian heritage and culture. And if you guys know that in the mains examination in General Studies Paper 1, we have the very first topic as Indian heritage and culture. So, in this Indian heritage and culture, you can direct get a 10 or a 15 marker question that is on the rock paintings of the prehistoric India. Or there could be a question how this rock paintings help us to serve as the important source of information about the prehistoric life, okay, about the prehistoric man, okay, because see, for the prehistoric age, we do not have any written records. So, what are the sources to study about the prehistory of India? Such remains, archaeological remains, and out of this, rock paintings are most important expression of human creativity and whatever was ongoing. So, what are the themes of this rock paintings? Okay, the themes are the daily life of the man, and from that themes, you can easily come to know what were the activities or what were the daily livelihood aspects of the Stone Age man, okay, particularly the Mesolithic man, okay. So that we are going to understand through these rock paintings, okay. So rock paintings are important source of information to study about Mesolithic era man, okay. Where are these rock paintings found? These rock paintings are found in the rock shelters, in the caves, on the floors, on the ceilings, on the walls. You find this rock paintings, okay. And most importantly, these paintings depict the lifestyle, the belief, and the day to day activities of the Mesolithic communities. And hence, they serve as the most important source of information to study Mesolithic age in India. Okay. Now, first of all, let us decode how the paintings were done. Okay, what colors were used, what type of brushes were used. Okay, now when I talk about the brushes, so they use the animal tail hair. You know, squirrel tail. It is so much furry. So they used to take out the fur, and that they were binded, and to get a brush was made. Okay, so animal tail hair was used. Plant fibers were used. Okay, as a brushes. Second important thing, what is the color palette? So if you look at the colors, they are vibrant. Today also the paintings are rich and vibrant. Why? Because the colors they use, they were natural compounds. Okay. So the predominantly used colors were three: red, white, and green. Okay. So from where did they get the red color? It is said that the red color they got it from iron oxide. Now, if you guys know, whenever we apply rangoli, so before applying a rangoli, you prepare the floor. How do you prepare the floor? By applying geru. This is called as geru in the local terms. Okay. So this is nothing but the iron oxide. So you apply that geru iron oxide, and on that you make the rangoli design. Okay. So that is that red color. So from here they got the red color. Then the white color, they got it from the limestone. So please remember, these are the important aspects. Okay. So from where did they get the white color? From the limestone. And green color, they got it from a mineral, chalcedony. Okay. From chalcedony or chalcedony, you can pronounce it. They got the green color. So what they used to do now, first of all, they used to grind this minerals. Okay. Can you see over here? So in this way, they got the powder, red color, white color, the chalcedony, from chalcedony, they got the green color. So what they used to do, they used to take the powder. They used to take animal fat. Okay. So in one bowl, just imagine there is an animal fat. They used to add to that animal fat egg. Okay. Egg. Now, the egg which we eat, okay. So animal, now that at that time the eggs could be of different animals only, fine. So it could be any bird's egg, okay. So they used to add that egg. Then they used to add animal fat, vegetable oil, extracts they used to add, and then they used to put this color, the mineral color, and then they used to mix it, and then they used to paint it. So because of this, what used to happen, the colors used to bind with the floor, and they used to stick to the floor because animal fat was there, egg was there, vegetable oil was there. So because of this, what used to happen, the colors used to bind against the wall, against the floor. Okay. And paintings used to be intact. So today also the paintings are quite intact. Okay. Now please remember this, from where did they get the colors. Okay. Now what are the themes? So themes are very important because these themes will help you to decode the life of the Mesolithic man. Okay. Now first of all, we know that hunting and gathering was the basic life of a man. So which themes will dominate? Definitely the hunting scenes will dominate, the gathering scenes will dominate. Exactly, that is seen, and from that we can easily interpret that Mesolithic era mans were indeed hunters and gatherers. Okay. Now most commonly depicted theme is the animal depiction. Okay. It is said that around 29 species of different animals are depicted across these rock paintings. Okay. And by the way, we are referring to which site? Now that is important. These paintings, which we will be discussing now, they are discovered from a very important Mesolithic site, that is Bhimbetka. Now, Bhimbetka was discovered accidentally by Indian archaeologist V.S. Wakhankar. Okay, Wakhankar. Now, V.S. Wakhankar, he was traveling to Bhopal, and suddenly, while traveling to Bhopal, from the train, okay, he could gauge that some rocks are there, okay, shelters like he assumed. And then he went with his team, and then he began his excavation and his discovery. After excavation, it was revealed that there were literally around 400 to 500 rock shelters. And inside those rock shelters, there are thousands of rock paintings. So that is indeed a invaluable heritage for our country. Okay. Now, so that is you need to know. So these paintings which we are discussing now, they are the from the Bhimbetka, okay, discovered by B.S. Wakhankar. Fine. Now, the themes, as I was talking about animal themes, so total 29 species of different animals have been discovered. Which are these animals? Okay, so deer is there, bison is there, wild goats are there, elephants are there, rhinoceros is there, different birds are there. Now, one thing which I would like to mention over here, this is documented in the Archaeological Survey of India's document, that across the paintings, now so many rock paintings they have discovered, but nowhere they have found the image of snake. Can you imagine? Now snakes, they must be existing at that time, right? They are on this earth from so many years, the million years snakes are there, okay? But what a strange thing that there are so many species of animals depicted, but there is not a single image of snake. Now that is a mystery for archaeologists, that why snakes are not depicted. Probably men were scared. That could be a reason, or some other reason could be there. But we do not find a single image of snake. So if UPSC will put this question, across the rock painting, snakes are predominantly depicted. Correct or incorrect? Your answer is incorrect, because you do not find a single image of snake. Okay, so please remember this point. Okay, now, so I hope which animals are depicted, that is pretty clear. Okay, the next important thing, how are these depictions done? So usually men and humans, they are depicted in a stick-like form, and even some animals are depicted in a stick-like form. There are some animals in fuller forms also, but usually human beings are depicted in a stick-like form. Okay, stick-like form like this. Okay, like this. I'm not that good at drawing. Okay, like this. Okay, like this. Okay, like this. They drew the paintings. Okay, of human beings. Now, yeah, let us proceed ahead. So when I talk about the scenes, so hunting scenes dominate. So there are many scenes which depict hunters are there with the microlithic tools. Bows are there, arrows are there, spears are there, okay, and they are hunting the animal. Fine. Depiction of daily life. So there is a depiction of dancing scenes, gathering food, fishing scenes, okay, honey collection. All these activities are also depicted, okay, and beliefs and symbols, even they are there. So we will understand them in detail. What are the major sites? Where do we find this rock paintings? Bhimbetka, which is most widely studied one. Then even at Adamgarh, it's in Madhya Pradesh. There also rock paintings are there. Kakadu, it's in Rajasthan, okay. Laglanj, it's in Gujarat, and Pachmari, again in MP. So here also you find rock paintings, but predominantly one site which is known for this is Bhimbetka. Okay, let us move ahead. Yeah. Now let us try to decode what does this theme depict. Okay. Now first of all, as I've mentioned, that animal scenes dominate. Animals are widely depicted. So what does this depict? So first of all, it depicts that man used to stay in synchronization with the nature. Okay, he used to stay in the rock, in the shelters which were surrounded by the natural forest, and hence man was in sync with the nature, and hence so many animals he could observe on the day-to-day basis, and he could draw them. Okay, uh, put it on the paintings. Okay, second important thing, hunting was the basic livelihood of man, and hence hunting scenes dominate. Okay, now one thing which is understood in the hunting scenes, see, if a prey was very small, like for example if the prey was a deer, or there was a wild goat, okay, so if the prey was very small, man used to single-handedly go and hunt it alone. He used to do the hunting. But if the prey was very big, like for example it was a wild elephant, or it was a bison, okay, or rhinoceros, at that time group hunting was done. So what does this signify? This signifies that slowly and gradually man was socializing, isn't it? Socializing, it means that he came to know that alone he could not survive. He has to depend on his co-members, co-community members, and that marks the beginning of community life of a man. Okay, so this is a very important thing which you need to interpret, that group hunting depicts that m- socializing of man. So man was slowly and gradually socializing, and this hints towards the earliest communities. Okay, formation of earliest communities. Getting it? That you need to remember. So in this manner you have to interpret the things. Okay, the next important thing that we see over here, uh, now one thing which is observed is that hunting is done by men and gathering of food is done by women. Now why? Now, archaeologists suggest that there could be a gender bias or there could be a division of labor. Now, what is the meaning of this? Okay. Now, this hints that the task which required lot of physical energy, lot of labor, that's done by men. Like, for example, hunting in the wild. But the task which required less human labor, that is just going and collecting fruits, flowers, roots, tubers, that was done by women. So, this shows what? First of all, there could be a division of labor. Division of labor means that, yes, women will excel in these tasks, men are good at this, so we will focus on this. Who is better in what? That person will do that thing. Second thing, the second interpretation is that there could be a gender bias. Gender bias, that from that point onwards, it they might have considered that females are biological inferior to men, and as a result, they are made to work or to do such task in the sense which requires less energy. Okay, so these are the two interpretations which you need to mention. Okay, so either there could be a division of labor or there could be a gender bias. Okay, then the next important thing, can you see over here? These are the palm impressions. Okay. Now, if you know that in Hinduism or in across the different communities, if there is something auspicious, okay, or whenever we do entry into a new house, okay, we put, or even a bride is there, the newly wedded bride, even her hand impressions are marked on the wall. Okay, so this is a gesture of that. Okay, people are putting their palm impression. This could be something which is auspicious for them. Okay, so even that is being depicted over here. And can you see over here, the stick like depictions are there. Okay, hunting scene is there, which is stick like depicted. Okay, so these are the features of the Mesolithic paintings. So if there is a question, first of all, try to write about the brushes, what brushes they use. That is, the animal tail hair was used, plant fiber was used. Second, write about the colors. How did the color was made? Red color, white color, green color. From which minerals they got it? How did they mix it so that the colors would bind with the floor or the ceiling? And today also they are fresh because of that. Then try to write about the themes. Okay, animal themes dominate, hunting scenes, which shows that man was a hunter, then gathering of food, that shows that man was a gatherer. Fishing was done, so that scenes are also there. Then you can mention about domestication of animals, which is a characteristic feature of the Mesolithic era. Okay, even that can be interpreted from these paintings. How? Because animals, like especially dogs, are shown across the community life. Okay, so along with the men we even find the images of dogs. Okay, images of sheep, goat, so that depicts that ki man revered them, considered them as a part of their family. Why? Because across their family members, along with the family members, even these animals are depicted. So this hints towards what? Beginning of domestication of animals. Mention this point. Okay, the next point which you can mention is that, very important thing, there are dancing scenes also. Now just imagine, if there is a dancing scene, there must be some sort of a music. So if the music is there, dance is there, this hints towards what? Development of aesthetic sense of man. Slowly and gradually man was becoming more and more creative. See, painting itself is a creation, right? You are painting, so it's a creativity. Dancing, music, this shows what? You are exploring your creativity, your aesthetic skills. That also you can mention. Okay, so mention all these points. Next important thing, microliths. Okay, now if you look at the tools are that small arrows, bows. Now these arrows are nothing but the composite tools with the microliths attached. So from that also we can say that microliths were the characteristic tools of the Mesolithic era. So in this manner you have to write a comprehensive answer. Okay, and finally, there is one more abstract painting which I would like to discuss, especially because this can come in the examination. Okay, so this is a very famous, notable painting discovered from Bhimbetka. Okay, now this painting is known as, famously it is known as Bhimbetka Bore. Okay, so it is known as a Bhimbetka Bore. You can see over here. I'll just fix this. Yeah. So Bhimbetka boar. Now, this is actually a combination of different animals. If you look at this Bhimbetka boar, okay, combination of different animals in the sense, this particular animal has a boar-like a body. If you look at his body, the body is like a boar, but his snout, this is like a rhinoceros. Okay, this part is like a rhinoceros. Okay, the underlip, this part is like an elephant. Okay, then horns are like a buffalo, and the so body is like a boar. Okay, underlip is like an elephant, snout is like a rhino, horns are like a buffalo. So definitely this is something imaginary creature which the Mesolithic painters created. Okay, so please remember this. There is a famous boar painting which is a combination of different animals. So this depicts what the abstract thinking, the artistic skills of a man. Okay, the imagination power of a man. Okay, where he created an animal which is a combination of so many different animals. Okay, so like that, you have to interpret these rock paintings. Okay. How can you conclude? So indeed, these rock paintings are a very important source of information to study about the Mesolithic age life. Okay. The life of Mesolithic age man. And these paintings are the earliest paintings of a mankind. So indeed, these are a very important treasure of Indian prehistory. Okay, and these paintings further laid the foundation of Indian paintings, because these are the earliest paintings. So definitely they laid the foundation of the further paintings in Indian subcontinent. Okay, so these are the foundational paintings of Indian painting that also you can mention. Fine. So this is all about the important rock paintings which you need to know and you need to describe in your answer. Okay, so that's it for the Mesolithic age. I hope the topic is pretty clear. So Mesolithic age is a middle stone age. Do remember all its characteristic features like the microliths, the geometric tools. Then remember the earliest sign of domestication of animals began during this period. And also remember about the rock paintings, which are very significant and which are very important. Okay, that's it for today's session. Thank you so much. And do watch this video, do revise this video, look at the previous content as well. And in the upcoming session, we'll be studying about the Neolithic age. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.